Please like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps the channel. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into a mystery that's both, well, chilling and kind of perplexing. It's the story of Angikuni Lake.
Angikuni Lake.
Yeah, a vanished Inuit village up in Canada back in the 1930s.
Oh, right. I've heard of this. Didn't a whole village just disappear?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Picture this. Remote settlement right by a frozen lake. Fires are still burning. Food's is sitting on the tables, but not a single soul around.
Spooky. Sounds like something straight out of like a ghost story.
It really does, doesn't it? And the details, they just make it even creepier. Our main source for this deep dive is a report called Angikuni Lake, The Mystery of the Vanishing Village.
Catchy title.
It lays out all the eerie stuff, untouched belongings, meals left uneaten, even the sled dogs starved to death.
Huh. That's strange. The dogs especially. Inuit communities relied on those dogs, right? For survival, I mean.
Exactly. That's what makes it so odd. And get this, not only were the people gone, but someone had disturbed the graves in their cemetery. Bodies missing.
Whoa, hold on. Disturbed graves. That adds a whole other level to this.
Right. It goes from mysterious to like straight up supernatural almost.
Yeah, you don't mess with graves. Not in any culture, but especially, well, from what I know about Inuit traditions. Respond for the deceased is huge.
It's a central part of their beliefs, yeah. So we've got this village, frozen in time, essential supplies abandoned, graves messed with. Why would an entire community, especially one so connected to their land, just vanish? What could possibly make them leave everything behind?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? There are a lot of theories out there. Some are a bit more, shall we say, out there than others.
Let's start with the one that always gets people talking, aliens.
Yeah, yes, the classic alien abduction theory.
There were actually reports of weird lights in the sky around the time of the disappearance from nearby communities, fueling the speculation.
Right. Adds a little fuel to the fire. But, you know, we also have to consider explanations that are a bit more grounded in Inuit culture. What about, have you heard of the Tornrarsuk?
The Tornrarsuk. Refresh my memory.
It's this malevolent spirit in Inuit folklore, capable of, like, luring people away.
Okay, now that you mention it, I think I have heard of that. Could that tie into the missing villagers, maybe? And those messed up graves?
Possibly. It's a pretty powerful figure in their stories, often described as, like, a bear-like creature, tricks people, harms them. Definitely fits the unsettling vibe of this whole thing.
Okay, so we've got aliens and evil spirits.
Right.
What about something more, I don't know, realistic? Could they have been forced out? Maybe some unknown threat, another group, or even a natural disaster that made them panic and flee?
It's possible, I guess. But think about it. Why leave all their supplies? And the dogs? These are people used to harsh conditions. They knew how to adapt. Abandoning their resources wouldn't be the first thing they'd do.
Good point. It's like every explanation we come up with just leads to more questions. Speaking of questions, we can't forget about the good old government cover-up theory. Always a popular one.
Right. Some folks think the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, downplayed the whole thing, maybe hiding some inconvenient truth.
Exactly. It's like trying to solve a puzzle, but with like half the pieces missing.
Yeah.
Okay, last one for this part of the deep dive. Natural disasters. What if something sudden and catastrophic happened? Wiped out the village, forced any survivors to just run?
Well, a natural disaster wouldn't explain the untouched supplies or the graves. No matter how bad it was, those details wouldn't just vanish.
Okay, you've convinced me. So natural disasters are out. What about some of the less talked about possibilities? Mass hysteria, maybe, or relocation because they ran out of resources, or even some hidden cultural practice we don't know about.
We also have to consider things like maybe a secret expedition they went on, or a sudden migration, or even, you never know, maybe a pack of predatory animals.
So many possibilities, but none of them quite seem to fit perfectly.
And that's the thing about Angikuni Lake. It's a puzzle that's, well, it's almost begging to be solved, isn't it? A mystery wrapped in this eerie silence. But we have to be careful. This isn't just some ghost story for entertainment. These were real people. Their disappearance deserves respect.
Absolutely.
No.
And maybe, just maybe, if we look at this through an Inuit lens, we might find answers that others have missed. Think about it. They're oral histories. What if they hold clues that earlier investigators just didn't consider?
You know what? That's a really interesting thought. It's like having access to a secret archive, a whole body of knowledge that could unlock this thing. Imagine if there's a story passed down for generations that explains exactly what happened, and we just haven't been listening to the right voices.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're picking up right where we left off, still trying to unravel the enigma of Angikuni Lake. We've got a whole bunch of theories floating around, some more plausible than others, and of course there's always the allure of those fringe ideas. But, before we get too deep into those, let's circle back to something we touched upon earlier, the Inuit perspective. It's crucial to remember that we're dealing with a culture deeply rooted in their environment. They've got generations of knowledge passed down through stories and legends. Yeah, and we were talking about how those stories might hold clues. More than just fairy tales, right?
Exactly. These stories are woven into the fabric of their existence. They're like ecological blueprints, historical records, even warnings about the dangers lurking in that vast Arctic landscape. They're not just stories, they're survival guides, passed down through generations.
Okay, so let's get specific. What kind of stories are we talking about? Anything that might shed light on the Angikuni Lake mystery?
Well, one figure that keeps popping up is the Tornrasuk, a powerful spirit, a malevolent one. In Inuit folklore, it's a creature often depicted as bear-like, with this incredible strength and a nasty habit of luring humans to their doom.
Now that you mention it, yeah, the Tornwarsuk. Chilling stuff, especially when we consider those disturbed graves at Angikuni Lake. Could there be a connection? Like, what if the villagers somehow angered the spirit?
It's a thought-provoking question for sure. The Tornrasuk is known for its cunning, its deception. It leads people astray, tricks them into dangerous situations, sometimes to their deaths. Could it have maybe coerced the villagers into abandoning their homes?
That report we've been referencing, Angikuni Lake, the mystery of the vanishing village, it does mention that some Inuit elders believed the villagers were lured away by a malevolent spirit. Could that be the Tornrasuk?
It's certainly a strong possibility. The Tornrasuk is deeply ingrained in Inuit culture, a prominent figure in their stories, and its characteristics, they do align with the unsettling nature of this whole disappearance. But it's important to remember that we can't just take these stories literally.
Right, of course. We need to consider the bigger picture.
They offer a glimpse into the Inuit worldview, their understanding of the natural world, the dangers they faced, and the immense respect they held for the spirits of the land.
So it's not necessarily about finding a literal monster out there. It's more about understanding the cultural and spiritual context of the event.
Precisely. And beyond the Tornrasuk, there are other Inuit stories that might hold some relevance. Tales of underwater creatures that can snatch people from the shore, spirits that inhabit certain places, even accounts of entire communities vanishing under mysterious circumstances.
Wait, really? There are stories about other villages just disappearing.
Oh yeah, it's a recurring theme in their lore. And while they might seem fantastical on the surface, these stories could offer clues about how the Inuit people explained events that defied their understanding. They could be linked to environmental factors, spiritual beliefs, or even social dynamics we haven't considered.
So, by examining these stories, we might gain a deeper understanding of the events at Angikuni Lake.
Absolutely. Imagine comparing these stories, finding patterns, common themes, and then connecting those to the specific details of the Angikuni Lake case. We might uncover a narrative, an explanation that's rooted in Inuit understanding of the world.
It's like using their traditional knowledge to fill in the gaps, alongside our own scientific methods, like two halves of a puzzle.
A perfect analogy. And while we're on the topic of modern methods, let's not forget about DNA analysis. That could be a game changer in this case.
You're talking about identifying the missing villagers. After all this time, could DNA analysis really help us put names and faces to these people?
It's certainly a possibility. Even if we only find fragments, DNA testing could potentially connect them to known Inuit families or even reveal previously unknown genetic links.
It would be incredible to finally put names to these lost souls, to learn about their lives, their families, their connections to each other. It would humanize this mystery in a way that we haven't been able to before.
Imagine if we discovered something truly unexpected through DNA analysis, something like genetic markers that indicate a completely unknown group or population. It could rewrite our understanding of the region's history.
The possibilities are endless, aren't they? It's like we're on the verge of uncovering a hidden chapter in human history. But amidst all this excitement, we can't lose sight of the ethical considerations.
Absolutely. Cultural sensitivity is paramount. This isn't just a puzzle to solve. It's about people, their lives, their stories. We must approach this with the utmost respect for Inuit's culture and traditions.
We need to work with Inuit communities, consult with elders and knowledge keepers, ensure that we're interpreting their stories and beliefs with accuracy and respect.
It's about acknowledging that their knowledge is invaluable to understanding this event. We can't impose our own assumptions or interpretations. We need to listen, learn, and recognize that there might be multiple truths at play.
Okay, we've talked about the power of Inuit stories, the potential of modern science, and the importance of cultural respect. But after all this, are we any closer to actually solving the mystery of Angikuni Lake?
I wouldn't say we have a definitive answer, not yet. But we've certainly gained a deeper understanding of the complexities. We've moved beyond the simplistic explanations and embraced a more nuanced approach, one that recognizes the cultural and spiritual dimensions at play.
So the mystery itself might remain unsolved, but the journey, the exploration, that's been incredibly valuable.
Indeed. And sometimes the journey is just as important as the destination, especially when we're dealing with mysteries that might never fully unravel. We've learned so much about the Inuit people, their connection to their environment, the depth of their oral traditions.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dives into the Angikuni Lake mystery. We've gone through the spooky details, the popular theories, even considered some pretty wild ideas. Now it's time to circle back to those Inuit perspectives we keep talking about, their oral traditions, their stories. I think there's a lot we can learn from them.
Absolutely. It's like we've been saying, these stories aren't just fairy tales. They hold a deeper understanding of the Arctic, the environment, and, well, the way the Inuit see the world.
We've talked about the Tonorasuk, that malevolent spirit. Are there any other specific legends that might connect to this, to Angikuni Lake?
Well, there's one that comes to mind. It's called the Kolupalik. Have you heard of it?
Kolupalik rings a bell, but I can't place it.
It's a creature, humanoid, said to live in the icy waters. Legends say it has these long, sharp fingernails and makes this, like, humming sound that lures people to the water's edge.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty creepy. Fits the whole frozen lake setting, doesn't it?
Right, and it's easy for us to think, oh, just a scary story. But for the Inuit, these stories were warnings, reminders of the real dangers they faced every day.
It's like respecting the power of nature, the unseen forces out there.
Exactly. And you know, it's interesting. There are actually stories in Inuit lore about entire communities disappearing.
Wait, seriously? So Angikuni Lake, it might not be a one-off thing.
Not necessarily, no. These stories, they've been passed down for generations, and they might show us how the Inuit explained events that, well, they couldn't rationally understand.
So by looking at those stories, we might understand the bigger picture around Angikuni Lake.
Yeah. Compare the stories, find patterns, maybe connect them to what we know about the village itself. It's like another piece of the puzzle.
It's like we're building a bridge between their knowledge and ours.
And you know, even if we never find a definitive answer, even if Angikuni Lake remains a mystery, the search itself has been pretty amazing. We've learned so much.
I agree. And I think the biggest lesson here is the importance of listening to different perspectives, different ways of knowing, especially when we're dealing with something as complex and mysterious as this.
Right on. We need to keep researching, keep collaborating with Inuit communities, make sure their voices are heard and their stories are respected. That's how we'll get closer to the truth, whatever that truth may be.
Well said. And to everyone listening, we hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and maybe, just maybe, you'll uncover a piece of the puzzle that we've missed. And if you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps the channel. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.